internet, my name is Lave and I watched Avengers Infinity War for the second time, so it's time to talk some spoilers. Now, if for some reason you're watching this video and you haven't seen the Avengers Infinity War and you don't want it spoiled, I suggest you stop watching this video now. You can always watch my spoiler-free review by clicking in the link up here. If you're a regular on my channel, you will recognise that this isn't my normal format. Normally I stand in front of a green screen over there to present my reviews, but I feel like I needed to sit down and do this one. I made a ton of notes which I want to go over. I'm going to do a scene-by-scene breakdown of the entire film and pick out my favourite bits. Also, if you're a regular on my channel, you'll know that I never really grade or rate films. I just produce a graph to hopefully demonstrate how my enjoyment varied throughout the film. I actually had to code it for the Avengers Infinity War review because I was so worried about giving away spoilers. So I'm going to use it now to help me break down the film scene by scene and hopefully pick out my favourite bits. So let's reveal the notes and let's get on with this. So the first 10 to 15 minutes sets the tone of the film, starting where Thor Ragnarok ends. Thanos and the Black Order have decimated the Asgardians on their refugee spaceship. Thor is beaten and Loki is seemingly going to hand over the Tesseract, but then the Hulk steps in and he has a scrap with Thanos, who actually beats the Hulk. Heimdall manages to send Hulk back to Earth and is killed for his troubles. Loki then steps up and shows compassion for his brother and declares himself an Asgardian and tries to kill Thanos and says something about undying. Thanos is like undying, poor choice of words, and then chokes him to death. Loki is gone. He's out of it. Thanos then instructs the Black Order to go to Earth to retrieve the Mind Stone and the Time Stone. He then blows up the ship and holy hell, what a beginning. Bruce Banner then crash lands in New York and meets Doctor Strange and Wong and is like, Thanos is coming. So they tell Tony Stark, who is like, oh shit, this is it, this is the end game. But there's no time to rest because Ebony Maw and Cole Obsidian turn up in New York. Spider-Man sees this and then suits up to go and help out, and we get a sweet ass fight with Iron Man, Doctor Strange and Spidey fighting Ebony Maw and Cole Obsidian. All of this happens in the first 30 minutes and it's crazy entertaining. Tony Stark's like, get the hell out of here, Squidward, and it ends with Ebony Maw kidnapping Doctor Strange, getting him on the ship. Spider-Man and Iron Man pursue him and then stow away. They're on their way to Titan. I'm not sure if this makes me more of a nerd or less of a nerd, but when they talked about Titan, I thought of the moon around Saturn, but obviously it's Titan where Thanos grew up in the comics. I didn't know that. Anyway, let's carry on. So they're on their way to Titan and you think you're going to get some respite as we catch up with Scarlet Witch and Vision, who are actually in Scotland, and they're trying to develop a relationship despite the fact that they were on opposite sides of the Accords, if you remember, in Civil War. That's quite a sweet moment where they decide, let's give this a go, but then bam, Corvus Clave and Proxima Midnight show up to retrieve the Mind Stone and another battle ensues, but then Captain America, Black Widow and the Falcon show up and save the day in a really fist-bumping, cool moment. Yeah, badass. We then cut to space and we pick up with the Guardians of the Galaxy, who are responding to the distress call made by the Asgardians at the beginning of the film. They arrive, it's all in chaos, debris everywhere. Thor smashes into their windshield, they pick him up. Cue some amazing banter and back and forth between Quill and Thor. Quill is all intimidated by Thor. He puts on this deep accent, this British accent, and they exchange their backstories, and Quill's like, oh yeah, my mother died, I had to kill my dad, yeah, and I didn't lose any eye in the process. It's amazing. From there, they decide to split up. Thor, Rocket, and Groot go to Nidavellir to make a Thanos-killing weapon, this axe, which Groot makes the handle for. It's awesome. That's where we also see Peter Dinklage. He's the character that I mentioned in my spoiler-free review about having a big but small part. Obviously, Peter Dinklage is small, but he's a giant in this. I wasn't totally convinced by his performance in this. He's like, Thor, you let me alone, and they came with their stones. He's in full-on Game of Thrones mode, but he does have one really funny line when Thor is trying to hold open those doors and he said, this is going to kill you, and Thor's like, only if I die, and he's like, that's what I mean when I say it'll kill you. funny as hell. Whilst all of that is happening, Gamora, Quill, Drax and Mantis go to intercept Thanos, who's at nowhere, to retrieve the ether from the Collector. And it's at this point of the film where it is at its most stretched. So you've got Iron Man and Spidey saving Doctor Strange, and then they crash land on Titan. You've got Captain America and his crew. They return to Avengers headquarters and hook up with Rhodes. In the process, they tell Senator Ross to do one. Captain America turns up and's like, I'm not seeking forgiveness and I'm done asking for permission. If you stand in my way, then we'll fight you too. It's like, yeah, get out of here, Senator Ross. Yeah. From there, they decide to take Vision to Wakanda, and that's when we're introduced to Black Panther, who's gathering all of his tribes. They decide that the best route to take is to try and remove the stone from Vision. So this is when the film is at its most stretched. You've got these 4 different subplots that are all happening at the same time, and the narrative does get a bit blocky and it bumps into each other a lot of the time, and as a result of that, it does mean that you lose some of the emotional character moments, like for example when Black Widow sees Bruce Banner for the first time. It's like, oh, hey guys, and it's like, ooh, awkward, but then it doesn't have time to dwell on that. But it does actually make up for it in other moments of the film. There is a lovely moment between Rocket and Thor when they're travelling there, and Rocket recognises that Thor is having a bit of a down moment. He's like, oh, time to be the captain. And he goes over and he talks to him, and Thor tells him about what he's lost. He's like, I've lost my mum, I've lost my dad, I've lost my brother, I've lost my best friend. And it's like, oh yeah, bloody hell, Thor has lost a lot throughout all of these adventures. I hadn't really thought of that. And Rocket's like, yeah, just get on with it, and gives him a new eye. But that's not the emotional core of the film. The running theme throughout is a theme of impending doom and sacrifice. You get parallel narratives reflecting this. So you've got Vision, who instructs Wanda to kill him if it comes to it, but then at the same time you've got Gamora, who instructs Quill to kill her if she gets taken by Thanos, which of course does happen on nowhere. Quill pulls a gun on Thanos, and then she says, you promised you would kill me in this situation, so he points the gun at her. He shoots her, but then Thanos uses the reality stone to turn it into bubbles, which is a visual cue for when he uses it later. But then he says something really interesting. He looks at Quill and says, I like you, as if he understands and relates to him, and then disappears and kidnaps Gamora. Now this is where the film really lays down its emotional beats, as it's revealed that Thanos has got Nebula captured on his ship and is torturing her, and he uses her to emotionally blackmail Gamora to get her to reveal where the Soul Stone is, which she does. So they go to Vormir, I think it's called, and we're greeted by none other than the Red Skull, who reveals that you can't retrieve the Soul Stone without sacrificing or losing what you love. So Gamora thinks, oh, well, we've won because you don't love anything. But then it's revealed that Thanos does love her. He turns around, he's crying, he picks her up and he throws her over the edge. That's it. Gamora's dead. Meanwhile, Nebula manages to escape and tells the Guardians to get to Titan. It's there where we get a mini battle between Quill, Drax and Mantis versus Iron Man, Spidey and Strange, before they realise that they're actually all on the same side. They then prepare for another fight with Thanos, who arrives on Titan with the Soul Stone. Oh, it's getting exciting now. At the same time, everyone else on Earth is preparing to fight the invading army in Wakanda. And this is where it all comes to a head. And I'm not going to lie, the first time I watched this film, I was getting pretty exhausted at that time. But that's because it was just so exhilarating. That's not to say that there aren't great moments in the third act final showdown. You get great moments like Black Widow and Okoye teaming up to take down Proxima Midnight. That bit is awesome. There's also a bit at the beginning of the battle when the two armies are charging at each other, and you can see Captain America and Black Panther charging ahead of everyone else. It's brilliant. Thor shows up with his new axe, arrives on Earth and is like, bring me Thanos. And Banner is in the Hulkbuster armor and it's like, yeah, you guys are in trouble now. In my review, I said that there are some really dodgy moments with the Hulkbuster, and that's pretty much every scene where Banner has got the helmet off and he's like standing there talking. It didn't look quite finished to me. It looked a little bit like this.
Yeah, this is badass.
I think my favourite moment in the Wakanda battle though is after Thor has shown up and he runs into Cap. Cap sees him's like, hey, you've cut your hair. Thor replies, oh, I see you've grown your beard like mine. Oh, by the way, this is my friend. He's pointing to Groot. And Groot's like, I am Groot. And Steve goes, I'm Steve Rogers. And literally everyone in my audience is like, yeah. It's all kicking off at this point. At one point you think Iron Man is going to cop it. Like literally both times I've seen it, the audience members just gasp. We're like, this is it. We've been waiting for this moment. But then Doctor Strange gives Thanos the Time Stone. He then pops over to Earth and beats up Captain America, beats up everyone else, and then rips the Soul Stone out of Vision's head. Oh my god, it's mental. Thor then comes flying in with his axe and wallop, gets Thanos right in the chest. You think he's got him, then he goes, you should have gone for the head. Then he clicks his fingers and, oh man, everyone starts disintegrating in a really melancholic way. It's probably easier to say who doesn't disintegrate. I think the original core of the Avengers stay intact, so you've still got Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, Hulk are still around, but all of the new ones disappear. So Black Panther, Doctor Strange. The most emotional moment is when Spider-Man disappears in Tony's arms and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Stark. It's like, what the hell is going on? The ones who remain are in complete disarray. Captain America's like, oh god, as he realises what's happening. You see a glimpse of Thanos then in, I guess, in the Soul Stone where he sees baby Gamora again and she's like, did you do it? And he said, yes, I did. And she goes, what did it cost? And he's like, everything. But then the film wraps up with a hero shot of Thanos sitting on this planet watching the sunrise, smiling in victory. It's like, what the hell? And then it ends and you're just sitting there left to contemplate what's going on. My immediate thought was, what's going to happen with Ant-Man then? I guess it must have to take place before all of this. That's my only guess. But then of course we do get an end credit sequence with Hill and Nick Fury driving around, people disappearing. They start disappearing. Nick Fury's like, motherfucker, as he sends this page to Captain Marvel. So yeah, she's got a lot of work to do. So my final thoughts on the film. Whoa, I mean, it's not perfect still. I stand by everything that I said in my spoiler-free review. I still would have liked to have seen more development given to Black Order, but it does sort of make up for that with Gamora's backstory. I guess the same thing that happened to her happened to them, so I'll give it a pass. Yes, there are moments where it does feel crowded and it doesn't feel like it's got enough time to accommodate some of the emotional character moments that maybe some of the other films does, but as a franchise, it's earned the right to do that by setting up all of the individual films first. DC, take notes. Yes, there is an argument to say that those other films did feel a bit formulaic. I would agree with that. I mean, Doctor Strange is basically Iron Man but with magic, but I would counter argue that and say that they are necessary parts to an equation that equals an ambitious summer standalone blockbuster which is all about the villain. I don't think we've ever really seen something of this scale and of this ambition which is so coherent and is mixing so many storylines into one. That's why I think this is a huge achievement. The challenge for the Marvel Cinematic Universe now is to take the next steps without it feeling like a cop-out, without all of a sudden just bringing them back, which we know they're going to do because we know we're going to get another Spider-Man film, we know we're going to get another Black Panther film, and we know there's going to be a second parter to this, but it's not at the expense of making this a single film, which, as I say, is about Thanos. That's amazing. So I guess that's it for my spoiler review, my scene-by-scene breakdown. I hope this is coherent. I guarantee the film is way more coherent than what I have just produced, but I understood everything that's going on, and if you're a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this is the cherry on the top of the franchise. It's awesome. I really enjoyed it. I'm probably going to see it for a third time, to be honest. But I guess that's it for this video. I really do appreciate you watching. Let me know what you thought of Avengers Infinity War down in the comments. I've got a lot of things coming up at the moment. I'm going to make another Lave's Lounge, so I'll post that as soon as possible. I'm going to try and see a few more film reviews. I'll get them posted as soon as I can. But in the meantime, thanks very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you can, give this video a like and don't forget to share the Lave.